Hey everyone, welcome back. It's Lucid. I'm joined once again by Demosthenes.
Perfect. I'm excited to share more of this Cold Raga playthrough with y'all.
Yeah, so we had, it looks like a few things happen. Evocation 3 got researched, so you're doing some arcane probing. See if you have better luck than I do. No, this is like the story of site searching for me in late age. I think,
I'd say that aside from these last two turns that were amazing, the rest of my site searching is kind of like this.
yeah, well, there's something about it. It's like, it almost makes me superstitious thinking that somehow like the sites aren't hard coded in when the map loads and that it's like a
Yeah.
roll. Because every time in late age, when I do a remote site searching spell, I never find anything. It's like a rule. Like I'm guaranteed to waste gems on remote site searching.
Yeah. That's pretty rough.
All right, let's watch these from this screen so we don't give away any spoilers. There's a light raid. This is actually a commander, right? Oh no. Okay, it's not.
That's the foreign recruit.
Yeah. So lost two guys. Pretty cheap.
I actually spent a couple gems there making water elementals as a in case they have more stuff.
Right.
Thing that was useless, but
Yoink. I think we know how that goes. Don't lose
yeah, a
anything.
level rating party, no trouble.
Here we have Winka. Okay. Get out the popcorn. So let's take a look. Bogarus. This is an odd choice. They've positioned their cat behind their PD, which I do not like.
Mhm.
In terms of mages, they have almost none. They have commanders.
I don't think there's any mages.
Yeah. So this,
I actually chatted with the Bogarus player about this. It sounds like he'd had these guys patrolling for like potential Zabalba raiding or something, and like I think he hadn't remembered that, so he thought that they were hiding in the fort.
oh
Um,
no.
wait, yeah,
Yeah, this is a nightmare. You do not want to spend your army's lives and spend your mages' lives on different turns.
exactly.
So this is like defeat in detail. But furthermore, for positioning, I think you want. I mean, for you, like we were talking about, Flame Ward is an absolute must. If you're not getting Flame Ward, dudes, you're not playing. I mean, that's another thing too to think about when you're playing Bogarus. Like a lot of people want to like rush and get Firebirds out. You want to have like a
Mhm.
hefty Fire Bank because like to do like Flame Ward, you're gonna need. It's gonna be 3 gems for the every mage that's gonna cast it because you're gonna take your Alchemist, or not every mage, but for like your Alchemists, your starts that have Fire too, so they can do it easier. But you're going to do Phoenix Power, and then you're going to put 2 gems per Flame Ward. So it's really expensive. You need a lot of fire gems to be able to win wars in the early and mid game with Bogarus. And yeah, so
You can do it more cheaply if you use them if you commune them up in order to get up to the higher fire path. But then you're committing like a bunch of communion plays to the battle.
well, no. So here's my thinking on this. So with Bogarus, you have a huge variety in terms of what you can do for a communion. If
Mhm.
you want to run like early game, like I'm only going to do alchemists, peace, you can do that. The problem is, like, I think the best army comp here is actually spending gems on alchemists as standalone mages to do flame
Yeah,
ward, and then putting a
I
skelly
agree.
spam communion in behind it with like
Mhm.
these garbage dudes on guard commander or positioning them in amongst the archers.
Yeah.
And if you start mixing the alchemists into the skelly spam communion, you'll burn it out really fast. So
Yeah, I think what you'd do if you had the alchemist there with a skeleton from Minion is you'd have them Minion master cast a few spells and then have the alchemist retreat, which in this case they just go back into the fort
yeah, they could do that too.
so that they don't doing stuff and clear the fatigue with a reinvigoration cast and
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
set
that's
it up
another
that way.
option too. And that would save a few gems. Yeah, that could probably work. You're not going to have that mage sitting around casting spells for the rest of combat, but that may not be a big deal.
Mhm.
But yeah, and then in terms of position, you want the Malia Druzina on flanks, right to the side, so that the PD will be in the middle. And
Mhm.
then that's the most important detail because what's going to happen with this formation is they're going to get all jammed up and come like in the most scraggly line running through, which is what you want. You want like a big alpha strike lance charge most of the time.
Yeah.
Potent attack can be nice if you want to get like potentially kill some of the lance charge bait with your archers.
Yeah.
The
The other thing, I think that back Guadalbelli Druzina is on like a hold and attack flyers. Or, like this is definitely, I think, intended to deal with melee troops doing a hold and attack,
right.
just like the formation that they're still on. Because you can see that
Oh my
there's a
god,
bundle of them that
this is a
just get put.
disaster.
They do manage to get past the front group do manage to get past the PD recently, but they're coming in
It's
like
a
in a
stream,
line.
right? This is not what you want.
Yes.
Oh my god, it's a disaster.
You should watch the front because there's going to be some pretty cool volleys. They did.
The crossbows fuck those Malians up. The other thing you can think about doing is legions of steel strength the giants. Same thing there with alchemists. They can do it with earth gems without a communion.
Mm-hmm.
Or I think there's I love Skelly Spam early, and that's why I kind of prefer, if I'm gonna go all in, I want to have like my core communion to be a Skelly Spam communion. But you can totally play I think it's completely viable, and it's very strong early to just say, fuck it, we're doing only alchemists. And if you have a pure alchemist communion, that can actually be really strong. And you have like one occultist in there just to drop reinvigoration.
So the other thing I'll mention about my formation here is that I put the crossbows as the sort of second line and my longbows at the back. And part of the reason is to try and limit friendly fire by having the crossbows, who are the only things here that can hurt my heavy cavalry with a friendly fire shot, sort of
really close.
getting more benefit of the precision. Yeah.
So that was going to be, this must be very clean.
It's bountiful land. Yeah.
Plus 50 dudes. Okay, they were the lance bait. That was what you lost, was all the lance stuff.
I lost lance bait and then 100.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that was, and then, oh my god, 60 melee Druzina. That's such a waste. That's so much money.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Is that 3,000 gold? 40 times, quiet.
2,500. Yeah.
That's so much money. I think, okay, I don't think you can recover from that. You've got, So far, nobody's really giving you a good fight. Like, Pan didn't really give you much of a fight yet.
Oh, we'll get one maybe in this episode.
Okay.
With Bogarus.
This is that cave fort, though, right? I think that was a fort. Because that's PD with Bogarus
225. And this is another one of these. This turns out to be heavy cow PD, which lancers are not as good. I think I took
only 2 losses. That's not bad. Was this the fort battle? No, this is just...
This is Patala moving on to Mictlan. I think it's just the PD there.
Yeah.
You can get a feel for Patala's army composition. It's a huge horde of archers, and then they've got, actually, I think it's a lot of their capital only mages. I think you'll see when they...
Oh yeah, oh my god.
Moss body, yeah. And so the main thing I think that's notable about this is that the scripting of those Naga Rajas, seems up like they managed to get themselves super buffed up, but they're behind the archers. So they're not actually going to fight, and they're all fatigued out. So
they didn't quick themselves. That doesn't make sense. It's like they're going to thug. I don't understand that at all.
They can be pretty good as sort of a light army thug, but not if you leave their 5 encumbrance armor on and have them cast 5 buff spells. They'll completely fatigue themselves out with just casting those buffs. So
but it just doesn't gel with this army composition. Yeah, you just spam Moss Body out. It's a little strange. Okay. Works here, but yeah, not very clear what's going on.
12 Naga Raja, so a very big mage commitment there. So this is the Bulba Voltrain Mictlan.
Oh, these are the sacreds, right?
Warriors. They're the sacreds, and you can check out their bless. It's pretty killy.
Oh, yeah, you don't want to fight a bunch of Aussies with this on. Holy shit.
Yeah, yeah.
And that will just blender stuff. This is a blender bless.
The blender bless, exactly.
My God, look at those little jaguars go pop. What is this, 15 of them? It's a fair price to pay.
I mean, they're blenders, but they've got like HP and
Yeah.
basic armor. So
Fair price to pay.
um, and there's a battle on him. Yeah, you should watch that one.
All right, so he cracked the fort.
Let's
The
go into
question is, will he
capital.
be able to kill this statue? 25 protection with Aster Toots. He should be able to get through that.
It's sort of an interesting script that Lemuria has. I think that they have all of those mages scripted to run into melee behind the console. Yeah.
Doesn't have skeletal body
Yeah.
on them. That's a little suspicious,
Yeah.
especially if you're going to run them into melee.
Maybe it doesn't have the alteration yet. I don't know. I think that the goal is just get a bunch more fear auras
Yeah.
in the front there. And you can see that one of the problems that lineup has is that they're using the sword variety ice
Right.
guards in the field. And so they're not killing these guys fast enough. Sort of get past the fort wall and get us around. And eventually they run.
But this is like the most Pyrrhic victory Lemuria could possibly have. I mean, he lost this whole mage corps, killed like 30 dudes. Like, this is almost nothing.
Well, look at the map though. They almost pulled off cutting off the retreat route.
Oh.
They missed one of the provinces they needed in order to do that.
Yeah, okay.
So I think that their play was sacrifice the mage corps, but route and kill that entire army with all the, with the heroes and the cap only mages and so on.
Yeah. I mean, I think having the mages run into melee was maybe a good call, but he definitely wanted to do skeletal body first. That's a major misplay. Was he spamming protection? Because a lot of these, not all of these guys got.
Yeah, I think he cast protection twice, but then started doing fireflies and stuff. And more than a couple protections. So.
Oh, most of them got
think
it. Though. I think they were grouped up when he cast it.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So he got enough caps in to get the ones who don't already have 8 natural protection anyway.
Yeah, they did pretty good. I mean, this makes you think, like, man, wouldn't a Barkskin Bless on Lemuria be pretty good?
Yeah.
You still, especially if you go heat Lemuria, you probably need some fire resistance in there too. But and it comes at the cost of recuperation, which you have a chance to heal wounds every time you spawn, but like respawn from being immortal. But you will tend, just as a point of experience, if you don't have recuperation, you will definitely accrue more afflictions than you get rid of.
Right.
Okay, well, cool. We'll play Dark Wolf, staying in the game. Oh, also for shame is being in a losing position as Lemuria. Okay. And this is Miquelin's cap. So the Miquelin War is almost over. That will free up Agartha as a free agent. And Patala, though, yeah, we don't really know. Okay.
Patala, I think, is big, and yeah, potentially will be a free agent after this too. So we successfully cracked both of those forts. And the plan is basically the thing that we discussed in our vague war plan conversation a couple episodes ago, which is that we're gonna get all the archers and fly them onto the capital, while also storming the fortress with the crossbows and heavy cavalry.
Right.
And I'm also moving one squad of heavy cavalry from that southern fort so that it will be in position to be a front line, if they're trying to break siege and Bogarus in a couple turns. Because if you've noticed that Mali Druzina squad that was north of the capital,
come down here.
Yeah, probably can't make it to the capital because of the rough terrain and cold.
They can't. It's actually no Mali Druzina are map move 1 and cold, so the terrain doesn't even matter. Yeah. I think it's another reason to play Heat Bogarus is your Mali Druzina become much more mobile.
Yeah, and then I'm raiding every province I can reach except for the predictable move for that heavy cavalry squad.
Right. Okay, I approve. This looks great. What you have storming is you got some air elementals, which are going to help with kind of. Air elementals are great, man, because they're going to jump in the back. They'll help you actually clear the gate.
And they might kill the wall archers, which will waste all my archer fire.
Right.
So you can see I have a bunch of knights here. So this is pretty funny. So this province has a knightly order. And it turned out that it rolled an event this turn to generate a squad of knights with a knight commander there.
No
And
fucking
because
way. And it gave it to you because you were the owner of the province, even though he had the fort.
exactly. And
That is ridiculous. What's that event?
and my
Oh,
Hellenic Pangea game, I actually had a case where that mod changes how tree lords are summoned to end up using an event, and I summoned a tree lord to defend one of my forts on a turn when an enemy moved on top of it. It gave the tree lord to them.
oh no.
So sometimes funny things happen. I think that was a bug in the event.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so my plan is the knight. Sorry, this is I guess the other one.
Yeah.
This one, I don't think they have anything inside,
Right.
so I just want to run in with the heavy cavalry
Clear
and kill
the
whatever
gate,
mages
yeah.
they have.
This one you're expecting this mages in here at least.
Yeah, and here I don't know whether this is the right script, but I put the knights on attack rear
Yeah, I like
in
that.
front, and then my Savarn guard a little bit behind, because I kind of want to. Those knights don't have the fire resistance. They're much less valuable to me, and so I'd rather have them take any casualties from nasty stuff that
Yeah.
their mages are doing.
I mean, I think the main risk of trying to storm a Bogarus fort is like a tremendous amount of skelly spam that'll just clog up the gate for days, and they can probably do it where they'll exhaust your archer fire, and then you'll just have stuff running in at the gate and dying.
Oh, actually, as we've determined, when my archer, well, actually, you're right. So I've actually scripted
Right.
these
You put them in a line.
with them in line formation. If I hadn't done that, it's actually possible that against Bogarus, it would be better
Right.
to have my archers.
Yeah, I think it would.
If I thought there were a bunch of occultists inside.
Well,
No,
it depends, right?
had
Because by
scouting
the
reports.
time you get done like shooting, when you run out of ammunition, there's potentially going to be like 500 skeletons on the other side. Not something you want archers with daggers running into. So
Yeah, that's probably right. Yeah.
probably better to have them choke at the gate and retreat than
and
run
then
in
have
and
my
die.
army run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Or, hope that I get lucky and the enemy, runs just from, I don't know.
but I love this move. I think this is so, and it worked out perfect where you're still sending medium commitment armies in, especially since he wasted this army this turn, right? So he's not going to be able to have an amazing defense. He could like kind of do something janky and lucky with the mages inside, but it's not going to be an amazing defense. So I love this, the medium commitment, because that's another thing for fort battles is a lot of times like the difference between 80 troops and 200 troops for a fort battle isn't much. It's like, do you clear the gate? Can you kill the wall archers? And that's it.
I think if he had not wasted that army, what I might have tried to do is sort of leave most of my army intact on that fort and still try to hit their capital.
Yeah.
To sort of mess up their ability to reinforce.
But this is such a good move, man, because this is where you just are stripping all initiative away from them. You've now got, you're potentially in this move going to take 2 out of their 4 forts, and you're going to put the 3rd fort, which is their most important one, their capital, under siege. And you're blocking off connection to their final fort, which means even if any of these raids are unsuccessful, they're going to be at 0 income. I mean, you literally can't have less initiative than that. Like, he's not going to be able to make any moves. He's just going to be completely boned. And he's going to when he realizes he's screwed, he's not even going to want to put any effort into his turns because it's already over. So.
Yeah, I mean, he might just because, it's pretty fast to play at your turns when you've got that little initiative.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's sort of either he can kill the army that I have on Bogarus, which by the way, I can reinforce with a bunch of stuff, or, you've lost.
Right. This is also a reason, you can see how quickly this war is going. This is also a reason why you have to be fighting in your head, wars with all your neighbors all the time. And that's because you don't have a lot of time to prepare once the war starts, if it's a good player. You've got to be ready. Oh,
that dark knowledge we should actually talk about because it has a bit of a fun story. So province, remember those 2 that sort of element party that I had that Pangea managed to get to retreat here with their stim-filling birds? Anyway, they immediately got diseased, and it turns out that this actually had disease.
That's ridiculous. I've seen that before. And then you found a Cypress Force. This is also a 2-gem site, if I recall. Yeah. Damn, dude. You and the 2-gem sites. All right, let's look at this alpha move going on top of Bogarus. Only PD here. Perfect.
So this is where I had a front line of archers that are all afflicted.
Right.
To sort of get the enemy feedback a little bit there and get a few there.
Yeah, that was beautiful. Took hardly any losses. Yep.
flaming arrow archers, and I think I brought the wind guide guy. So this is with wind guide and flaming arrows for
Yeah.
like 17 precision. Oh, this is one of these Lancer raid.
Yoink.
So you can see that I've stopped trying to make the guys with the swords
Right.
after my Pangea embarrassment.
Yeah.
So this time the water elemental at least accomplishes something.
Hey, he's an insurance policy. You got to pay that
Actually,
insurance
and
policy.
Actually, I think I lost like 10 guys there just
Okay.
because there were enough militia.
Yeah. This is just difference in quality of troops. You're bringing really high quality stuff. There's only garbage here.
Yeah, these divine guards are really actually just on their way to be able to, defend if he tries to break siege of Bogarus
Right.
next turn.
But they're also blocking if he was going to do like an attack out of the fort with the mages and retreat. They would also block that retreat path. So I will come back and watch the other players' stuff, but let's watch these fort battles here. So this is the one that I believe was nothing in there, you thought, right?
This is the one that had at least had some mages. This is the retreated crossbowmen from that that melee Drazina army.
Okay.
All the crossbowmen.
So let's do an inventory. We've got 3 alchemists, 2 astrologists. We've got this deathless hero with I guess enough gems to do. I am assuming he has Conjuration 5.
Does not.
Oh my god. Yeah, we'll see what he has.
And got Master of Names and a few occultists. He's got a nice ball formation. You can see actually summoned a few white and scorpion beasts.
Fears. These are all level 3 spells. Anime Dead's level 1.
Right. Cool. We just got 1 arrow into an archipelago there.
This is what are the magic sales here? It looks like I don't see an MR penalty.
Magic 2, I think.
I don't think it. Okay. So there's no bonus.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I think this province might have had enemy dominion in it. You're right.
Yeah.
His skills are magic too, but I think it's got some Zababa dominion in it or something.
Okay. There's a few things we can take of note here. As, now a Bogarus player myself, I have to comment on. One thing, how many Firebirds should we have? There should be 0 Firebirds, right? Firebirds are a greedy play, right? Like they take a long time to pay off. LA is gem poor, and he needs those fire gems to do the things we were talking about, like either summon fire elementals, not very good against Rhaga, or, like flame ward all of this so they don't get chewed up by flaming arrows. This is a waste of gems. These guys too, there's a bunch of interesting things you can do. Like, I don't know what his alteration research is, but you can potentially set up these mage cores where you get them really heavily buffed. Now, ideally, you'd have at least like 4 or 5 occultists you could put into a communion. But then you could do Iron Warriors on basically your entire communion, as well as all the other astral buffs, potentially even mist form and some other things, summon earth power. But they would be so buffed that they would be mostly immune to normal types of damage. And they could make a lot of skeletons and have like a really good fort defense. So there's all sorts of things that like these look like little weak mages, but they can actually be really strong if used properly at this point in the game.
Yeah. Another thing to note is if he'd had those melee Drazina, he could have potentially gotten, buffed up those lights or sort of otherwise. But I guess you can watch sort of what happens with those knights that I sent him, because they actually do kind of get, take a decent amount of attrition from the guys he put to clog the gate. But because knights are on attack are pretty fast, we get past them.
Right.
That's, the fact that, he could do a bunch of, buffs with iron skin and the like is part of why I wanted to have elementals in this fight, is to sort of have a way to do damage on them. So you can see that, I still have enough knights left.
Yeah, things like Tempered Flesh, which again are pretty easy to paste on the communion, a little harder to do on. I don't know. I think there's. I don't know. There's part of me that just is like, this reinforces the idea that Bogarus is rush bait, and I'm just like, oh, they don't always have to be. Like, you can play. They can be. They have some pretty good early power timings you can use.
Exactly, and I think if he hadn't sent the army outside the port, like, he could have totally clogged the wall with his melee Drazina, buffed up with some Flame Ward, and then had those mages doing,
Yeah.
Skelly Scam or evocations to kill my knights or, something.
So let's look at this one again. So this one's more interesting because it's a bunch of mages.
Only got like 4 or 5 mages. This is
No, but this
what do
is
you think?
enough to, I think you want one alchemist here. But this is where I'm talking. I'm trying to remember who it is. I think Nick Knight does it in my. He was playing Yes, and he had.
Mhm.
I think I was killing. I was one of my Scalaria games. I was killing him. He was Yes. I was kicking him out underwater, and he decided to like. I don't know. He was holding out against somebody with one of his land forts. And there's like
Mhm.
a 300-person army storming the fort, and he had like 4 or 5 Kernal druids. And those 4 druids tanked the entire army and repelled it.
With Astral Shield and Iron
Yeah,
Skin,
all the
Temper
buffs.
Flash, and
Like,
yeah.
if you get you need to stack these guys in the same tile so you can take advantage of the point buffs. And then
Mhm.
you also
Yeah, I
take
agree.
advantage of applying it to your slaves. But there's a bunch of things like this. There's maybe enough troops here that they would have routed the mages. So what you would do in that case is you get rid of the troops. You attack out of the fort with the troops to just get them killed off.
Mhm.
And then you have only the mage core. Or, depending on how you do it, you could give have a few guys on guard commander that would fill the same tile if you're
Yeah.
confident you can get enough buffs on them all. But
And I guess if I was expecting that, the thing that I actually should do in this fort storming battle is just put all of my archers on attack
yeah,
range to
yeah,
just try to get the ice knives on them before
yep,
they get their
yeah,
buffs up.
that would totally destroy that strategy. So, it's not bulletproof or anything, but it's a way to do it.
But that's not what I did. I think I brought a few lightning bolt casters on advancing cast, which might have been sufficient to deal with it. But with luck, it can take a lot of lightning bolts to kill a few mages doing that.
Yeah, and I mean, if they have a big mage core, so they actually have like
Mhm.
a proper, Skelly spam community, which this is on its way to. They've got 4 occultists here,
Yeah.
and one of these guys. And they had like 20 Malia Drazina guarding. Now we're looking at different things. We're looking at like Flame Ward on all the Malia Drazina. We're
Yeah.
looking at Legions of Steel, Strength of Giants on them. And then we're looking at all of the Malia Drazina are just here on guard commander to protect them from arrow fire and from other dudes jumping on them, like with fly attack rear. And then
Add
it's the
some.
Skelly spam.
Yeah. You can put a battle portrait on them too to make it
Right.
just really hard to kill them with whatever evocation
Right.
one's bringing.
Now it's not like, you do that and it's like checkmate, we've screwed over Rhaga, but it's like, it's a game, at that point. Like it's not just you're getting rolled, which is what this is.
Exactly. Even so, it's possible that this is the other thing is I had my cavalry on attack just so that, their
Right.
time to buff is pretty short. But
But if you watch
um,
my Bogarus playthrough, or not you, but I mean the viewer, you'll
yeah.
see, even though we weren't in a lot of wars, like we were thinking through all these things at the different stages of the game. That's why like the episodes take so long, is you can listen to me ramble on. Okay, if we get attacked by
Yeah.
this, I'm worried about this, but this is what we do. And we were constantly shuffling around research priorities and which mages we were making so that we'd be able to like deal with those things. But
Mhm.
oh my gosh, look at this. You've taken this fort, you've taken this fort, you've killed most of his mage core. Capital's under siege. This army moved exactly where you thought it would. And now you're able to reinforce the capital with everything you have. He's boned.
And then I'm also going to go besiege the last fort in case, Atlantis gets any ideas about,
Right.
they can just vulture it,
Right.
you know.
And this, by the time you finish this, you will be in, I think, a reasonably clear position 1. But maybe not
For
so clear that everybody's thinking they have to knife you.
Yeah, the hope is that I can be in a position 1, but a position 1 that's like scary and not,
Right.
like I don't want to go and attack them alone. I want to go win some easier war,
Right.
so that I can compete with them.
My play style too, and if I know you've watched a fair number of my videos and stuff, is I typically don't like to get too far ahead where I force a coalition. Some people who are better than me do like doing that. Like Sai is somebody who, if he got in this position, would probably, this is me putting words in Sai's mouth, but I think if Sai got in this position that you're about to get into, he would probably immediately start looking for the next neighbor, thinking that if he can kill one more player, then it won't matter if people coalition him.
Right. And certainly, one of the things that I am thinking about at this phase is, do I try to turtle, or, do I try to just like rush my way into Zabalba, who's also sort of on the small side before they get their Ocelotl
Right.
online.
Right.
Um,
So
so
yeah.
I think, let's look at the other battles. I think there might be one or two cool ones this turn that I managed to see. So the other player battles, yeah, not that one.
Ping a
Not that one.
throne.
I can check Micklin.
Oh, was this a
This
suicide?
is a twice
Yeah.
one. Oh,
Nope.
okay.
Okay.
So next turn,
I
26.
think we're at 30 minutes, so I think we'll call it here. So we'll put the next
Sounds
episode.
good.
And thank you all for watching.
Thanks, everyone, and see you next time.
Take care.